What's up, guys? Today, we're going to be breaking down Deshaun Watson, Week 16, his fourth start a month into his Browns career, Christmas Eve. Saints go into Cleveland. Browns have their playoff lives on the line. If they win, they're alive. If they lose, they are eliminated. Saints have a decimated secondary, and the weather's not great. It's really cold. It was hovering between 0 and 10 degrees all day. There wasn't much wind. There wasn't much precipitation. That being said, when it's really cold, hard to catch the ball. You hate getting hit. It messes with everything. However, we still have to grade the game. If you play quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, you're going to play in the cold at least a few times a year. God forbid you make it to the playoffs, it's going to be cold in Cleveland. It's going to be cold in Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and Kansas City. Those are the places you're going to be playing the most in December and January these days. So, it matters. You take it into account, right? You understand, yeah, he's going to be a little bit more brittle. He's going to be a little bit more skittish. He's not going to stand in the pocket as tough as maybe he would on a balmy 80-degree day in September. That said, just because you take things into consideration and understand the context doesn't mean you throw it away. Otherwise, you're dedicating yourself to failure as a Cleveland Browns quarterback because all of your most important games are going to be in this kind of weather. Regardless, I watched this game live. I also watched this game this morning to grade it. There are a few plays I had to go back and check on. You're going to see me do that live. A little bit of all 22 action. But enough bloviating. You didn't come here to hear what I think about the game. You came here to see what happened in the game. Without further ado, to the film. The Browns are going to come out running, and you would think, seeing the weather, that they would run a lot. But that doesn't end up being the case. Browns throw the ball about 35 times. First pass of the game, not a good pass, but it was accurate, so we'll call it routine. It's the low end of routine, right? That's not where you would want the ball placed, but it was catchable, and I don't think that it cost them too many yards, maybe 2 or 3 yards difference. Here, Watson does a good job of bouncing outside the pocket. He doesn't see anything downfield, and he throws it away. I'll give it to him. We'll call it a positive throwaway, so he gets 2+ movements and a throwaway. Maybe he had somebody downfield, but I'm not going to blame him. He did a good job of managing the pocket, and in a game like this, you know that it's going to be low scoring. Live to fight another day. Look at that punt. It all paid off. On to drive 2. This is why you live to fight another day. In a game like this, you get the ball at your plus 49-yard line, already in Saints territory, because it's just hard to score when it's this cold. You can tell the Browns' game plan early is to come out running, and again, you understand why. But they get away from that as the game wears on. Here, Watson rolls out. It's an intended rollout. This isn't him scrambling. What they wanted to do was roll him out and then sneak Hunt right here on a screen, so he would just slip out. But he's double covered, and Njoku's covered back here. There's nobody downfield on the right side. All you can do is throw it away. Is it a positive throwaway? Not really, but it's certainly not negative. So we'll call it a neutral throwaway. We'll give him a plus move and a throwaway and move on to drive 3. The Saints say 2 can play at that game, and they back the Browns way up with some terrible field position of their own. The Browns are intent to run the ball, but it's not doing too much, so 3rd and long in the cold, not a great recipe for success. Watson has plenty of time, and he's got an open man, but he just misses. Now, because I know Browns fans are crazy, I'll humor you and I'll show you the replay of a different angle. 1, 2. So here's the tight copy of the all-22. You're going to see it's a pretty good view. Look on the left side here where the ball is. You've got all this outside leverage. Now I know what you're thinking. Bradley Roby's right there. This is covered. Well, no, because you have all this field to the left. If you just float the ball to the left and let your receiver run under it, he can basically box out the cornerback. It's called leverage. Instead, Watson puts it too far out, too far upfield, doesn't put enough air on it if he wants to. That ball placement's not necessarily bad, but it has to get there a little later so the wide receiver has time to track the ball, right? Again, that velocity isn't necessarily bad, but you have to put the ball there a little bit shorter so that the receiver can reach it. So those cold hands turn into stone and lead to a tip ball interception. Grant Delpit picks off Andy Dalton, and the Browns are on the verge of the red zone when they get the ball. Couple of quick runs to start off the drive, and the Browns are already in business right around the 20. Here, Watson's first throw of the drive is going to be a little funky because it's not bad, but it's certainly not good. The ball clearly slips out of his hand. Maybe his fingers are cold and they didn't curl around it quite properly. It is catchable, but it certainly leaves yards on the table. It's a simple screen, no rush, but it's behind. And maybe if that ball's out in front of Njoku and has a little bit of velocity, it's instead of a 7-yard gain, more of an 8 to 15-yard gain. And even right there, Njoku's consoling him, saying, hey, I get it, it's cold out here, man. So it's those little things. It's almost a really good play. It's almost a really good play, not almost a really good throw. But because it's not quite perfect, it ends up being lackluster. I'll call it routine, but know that it's on the low end of routine. And then here, this is a positive run. Can't say anything other than that. It's a touchdown run. It's about 10, 15 yards. Blocked up really well. Watson is untouched. That is something he certainly offers. He's a good athlete. Watch the tight copy here. Watson doesn't have to make anybody miss. He doesn't have to outrun anybody to the corner. It's all sealed off. He's got Jedrick Wills on a defensive back. He's got Tyrann Mathieu being blocked up by Donovan Peoples-Jones. It doesn't get easier than that. Here, Browns are just going to run a quick mesh concept. Amari Cooper's wide open over the middle on the drag, and he'll take it for about 15 yards. The reason he's so wide open is because you got some OPI, little pick play. But no matter, we can still grade it. It's still a routine throw from Watson. And again, another routine throw. Sure, it was better than a normal routine throw. Throw a plus move on there because it's a screen, but it's a little bit murky. It doesn't change the fact that it's routine, and you would expect most players to make that throw. The Browns are running quite a bit of read option, and not RPOs, mind you, but read option, as in Watson has the chance to pull the ball down. Now, smartly, he's handing the ball off to his running backs. I'm not really going to grade that because what do you call it to properly read whether or not you're supposed to hand the ball off? I don't know. This ball is close. Now, it's a good throw. This is a solid throw. It's a positive throw. But the ball placement's not great. Again, it's the little things, right? If he throws that ball a little bit earlier, Cooper's not getting hit. If he puts that ball a little bit higher, it's not so hard. So again, it's still a solid throw, but there's always something lacking. He's coming in right at doing the bare minimum to be completing balls. Here, routine throw. Really good pocket movement as you see him juke out a defender. Slightly positive, but still not difficult. Another routine throw on an RPO. Watson is executing the offense fine, but he's certainly not playing like some kind of star quarterback. Here, this is really cutting it close on 4th and 5. We're going to go to some all-22 right here in a second so I can show you just how close it was. So you can see here from this tight copy, Watson really threads it in there. And that's a really good job of navigating the zones, right? That's a solid throw. And while it looked pedestrian at first, when you understand what's actually happening from the coverage standpoint, it's a good throw. So we give him credit for it. Pick up in the deep red zone, and the Browns are going to bootleg. Watson doesn't think he has anything. But again, there's plenty. He's just not seeing it quick enough, and he's not throwing it where he should. So right here, you see you've got these two linebackers, and they're both coming up, which means you know you're going to have this void right here in the zone. Now, you don't throw it just yet, but you know that this is here. Right here, when he starts creeping forward, that's when you loft this ball, put a little arc on it, put it right here. Let DPJ run under it. He'll continue on to the end zone. Might be a touchdown. Now here, this linebacker's completely committed. Watson's got the ball cocked and ready to go. Fire that fucker in right here. No. He hesitates. He lets DPJ start coasting. Now Roby's on him. But still, you have the same concept with the receiver behind DPJ, number 12. I don't know him, undrafted rookie guy, I think out of Michigan or something. Doesn't matter. You're playing him, you throw to him. Loft the ball right here into this void. He will run under it. And you can see he had Amari Cooper pretty open too downfield. So he had several options. I don't think Amari Cooper was covered. I don't want to go to the All-22 because it doesn't matter. We know he had 2 dudes to throw to and he's not processing. So that's a negative throwaway. He had people open. He wasn't being pressured particularly well. He needs to read that out. He needs to find the open receivers. Again, open receivers everywhere. He's not seeing them. Finally makes a throw. Let's see the All-22 to see if that ball should have been caught. Now look at how Amari Cooper has to break down and run forward to this ball. If this is a better thrown ball, he doesn't have to do any of that. It's just right there. So this is partially on Watson. I know that people are upset because drop touchdown pass, but that's not a well-thrown ball. Again, let's see the replay. I'll show you where I would put it with the benefit of hindsight and perfect accuracy because my mouse is better than any quarterback's arm. Now, again, you could throw it here, but why wait? Or why make it hard? Got Amari Cooper standing wide open. He's wide open. There is nobody coming to cover him. Loft that ball, put it in the air, don't put it low, don't make him slide. I would put the ball, personally, if I could pick, right here. I would loft it like I'm playing monkey in the middle, like I'm playing catch with my son. Instead, Watson makes Amari Cooper run on the hard ground and slide to make a low catch. Watson freaks out because he knows that's a bad throw. He missed. He just missed. Now, I graded this throw solid. It shouldn't be. This is a pedestrian at best throw. He missed. I'm going to downgrade it back to solid. Down to pedestrian. It's a routine throw. It's not good. It could have been much easier on the receiver. Amari Cooper still has to catch that shit. A pedestrian pass is still an accurate pass. But Watson didn't make it any easier on him. And that's kind of the story of Watson's day so far. He's had a lot of passes that weren't quite inaccurate, but he really didn't make it easy on his receiver. In fact, as of last time you saw a video from this game, the Browns had a 10-point lead, and it has quickly disappeared completely. Here, they run another read option. Watson keeps it. Neutral run. Nothing special. A couple yards. Whatever. That's, not a really positive play. It's about the same as a check down. Speaking of which, that's a check down. Routine play. But after a 10-point swing in the score, you need to really break something here. You need to do something. Here's a positive run by Watson. Really good read. Busts it for 8-9 yards. Good stuff. Positive run. But people wonder why the Browns weren't running the ball that much in this game, why they started throwing in the second half. It's because the runs stopped working. It's no secret that the Browns' offensive line is pretty beat up, and if you know anything about the Saints, again, stuffed run. If you know anything about the Saints, you know that their defensive front is actually pretty good, whereas their secondary is absolutely destroyed when it comes to their cornerbacks and safeties. Marcus May's banged up. Tyrann Mathieu banged up. Marshawn Lattimore hasn't played in months. They're on their 3rd and 4th string corners. You should be throwing. So, game is still tied, and this time the Browns come out trying to run. Here, Watson does a good job to avoid pressure, plus movement, and he flips it out to Chubb. Now, it's a good play. It's an easy throw. Even though there's a holding, even though that probably aided in Watson's ability to slip the rush, I was impressed enough that I'll still give him the plus move, and I will give him the routine throw for the flip. On 2nd and 11, they're going to drop back to pass again, and here Watson gets picked. Now, it's a pick. It goes on the stat sheet as a pick. But not all interceptions are the quarterback's fault, and this one wasn't quite Watson's fault. Now, it was a bad throw. It was inaccurate, and this replay will show you better than any All-22 ever could exactly what happened. Little teeny bit of contact. I don't think it's a hold. I don't think it's illegal contact. Watson just sails the ball. It's too far out front. David Bell has to dive, and because of that, it gets popped up into the arms of Sorensen. Now, if David Bell doesn't dive and just gives up on the play, it probably falls harmlessly to the ground. And by probably, I mean it almost certainly does. It's a bad throw. It could have been completed. It probably should have been completed. Watson fucked up. but he didn't deserve a pick on it. So Watson gets the unlucky interception, and here's where everything starts to really go downhill. The run game still isn't really working, so the Browns are going to really start opening up the pass game, and Watson kind of fails his team. Here, clean pocket, just misses. Yeah, was there a little contact? Tyrann Mathieu on David Njoku? Maybe, but the throw was uncatchable. Really bad. And that's 2nd and 7, now it's 3rd and 7. 3rd and long in the cold, not what you want. Again, clean pocket, throws the curl, congrats, routine, maybe solid, I would say routine. For sake of argument, I'll throw it a solid on this just because Browns fans are going to call me a hater, and I want to avoid that by giving him the benefit of the doubt. But here, this is going to throw Watson's stats off on the day. People are going to talk about how the Browns had a really deep depth of target. They were throwing downfield too much in this game. Most of it comes on this play. He throws about 40 yards downfield, airmails it, obviously a very bad throw, and that's going to skew his average depth of target for the rest of the day. Again, wide open. But here, you're not going to notice that's a pickable pass. Now, I know what you're saying. How? Nobody even touched it. Well, just wait. I'll show you the replay, and you'll be surprised. This absolutely should have been caught by the Saints' Bradley Roby, former OSU star, number 21. So, after getting bailed out on a pickable on the last drive, the Browns are going to come out a little bit safe here. More bootlegs and flats, just like we saw a lot of in Week 15. Going to try to run the ball a little bit. Nick Chubb is a monster, but the Saints are loading the box. At a certain point, you have to throw if they're going to load the box and dare you to throw. When you're paying your quarterback $230 million, you should expect to be able to throw the ball against a loaded box. Now, this play we're just going to wipe away. It was a legal formation. There was nothing open. Fuck it. Just pretend it didn't happen. Like, you could give Watson a throwaway there. It feels a little bit ticky-tacky. But here he just misses. On 4th and 2. So, again, 4th and 2. It should be a quick hitter route, right? You got Kareem Hunt on this swing, a well-placed ball right around here where my pointer is, and he's got the edge with blockers, right? He'll be okay. Additionally, if you're a little bit more aggressive, right here, I don't know, I think that's DPJ. You could have gunned that in there if you had proper anticipation. It's not DPJ. Whoever it is, right here, he's standing on a curl. So, here's how this goes. You see you've got confusion here, and that's why Watson zeroes in on DPJ and says, ooh, I'm going deep. Right? He's just going to ignore Amari Cooper at the bottom of the screen. Right here, he saw the confusion before the snap, and he figured he had a cheap play from the slot on like a little bit of a corner route. If he was not too busy staring here, he would have realized he had soft zone coverage and his curl would be wide open. Curl is still wide open. If the ball comes out right away, that's an easy curl. But that's not how he processes it. That's not necessarily terrible. There are worse ways to process his play. But then he just misses his throw to a wide open dude. It's bad. It's bad, and it killed your drive. Here you can see on the replay, that ball goes right the fuck through Roby's hands. See it again. This is like a very clear interception-worthy play. I mean, look at that ball floating right there. Roby has every shot at it. He just misses the ball. It goes directly through his hands. If he does like your Pop Warner coach taught you and kisses those thumbs together, it is going the other way. But he misses, and luckily for the Saints, unluckily for Watson, it's so inaccurate it doesn't matter. So the Browns have 5 minutes to go about 80 yards and tie this game. In this weather, this is probably their last shot. They might have one more if they're real lucky, but this is going to be cutting it close. They start off running the ball. It's fairly successful at first, but then it slows down. Now, one stuff at the line doesn't mean much. Here, nice little RPO. Completely free yardage. Now, again, RPOs look dope, and he gets like 9 yards on this play, which is usually solid, but he's completely uncovered. It's a routine throw. And that's what's beautiful about RPOs. It's why they took the league by storm when they came into the NFL. It's basically free yards. But again, you can't keep running the ball because you're running out of time, and it's not being that effective. Here, this ball should be picked every time. Bradley Roby with his second dropped pick of the game. It's late, and it's too far inside. You can see when Roby gets up, he claps his hands, he buries his head. He knows it should have gone the other way. And again, because Browns fans are, shall we say, interested in excusing Watson's faults, we'll go to the replay, and I'll show you again. So you see here on the replay, again, much better than the All-22. That ball hits Bradley Roby right in the titties. You can't not catch that. We'll see it one more time. Right here, this still frame, you see perfectly. Here's the ball. Here's the wide open arms. Obviously, the defensive back has a better play on it than the receiver. It's in his hands. He just misses. And it's a really good play by the wide receiver, Donovan Peoples-Jones, to make life difficult on Bradley Roby, but you gotta have that ball. That's a pickable. All right, back to the rest of the game, back to the broadcast feed. Browns know they got away with one and they run the ball, but as I was saying earlier, it's slowing down, right? I mean, if you look, the Saints are stacking the box, and you just can't run the ball. You're running out of time. You need to get 60 more yards in 2 minutes. You got to throw. And it ain't going well. It's another bad ball. It's too low. It's late. Watson knows that he messed up. If you're going to be... First of all, remember, we said it's going to be tough to catch. It's cold. Hands are going to be numb. If you know that, on 3rd and 13... you can't be putting the ball late and inside, so your dude's got to dive. You got to be early. You got to put the ball high. You got to make it easy to catch. You got to let the receiver let it into his body and make a body catch, which typically you don't want. But in the cold, it's more reliable because your stomach doesn't go numb. Your fingertips will. And sure, there was a holding on this play, and the Browns got bailed out. But it was on the other side, right? That was Amari Cooper. The throw was to Donovan Peoples-Jones, I think. Hard to see numbers, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it was DPJ. Look, this is where Amari is. On the right side. Here's DPJ. Play action. Watson's head, look at it. He never looks this way. It's not even in his consideration. His head hasn't moved. He's staring down DPJ the entire way. So I don't give a fuck if there was a holding on the other side of the play. Sure, it's a right penalty. Throw the flag. The Browns deserve a first down because the Saints broke the rules. But as far as grading Deshaun Watson, that doesn't matter. Those guys could have played patty cake. They could have started making out. It doesn't matter. Deshaun Watson wouldn't have even been distracted because he didn't look that way. So we grade the play. It's a bad throw. Moving on. Given reprieve, there's 2 minutes left now, 1st and 10, almost at midfield, and the Browns still can't run the ball. Now, again, it's not their fault. Their offensive line's banged up, and the Saints are selling out to stop the run. They're daring you to throw. So when you ask why Kevin Stefanski threw the ball so many times in this weather, because he had to, and it should have worked. Now here's another one of those throws from earlier. I was saying, this throw's routine. It's accurate. It should have been caught. But it's the worst kind of accurate pass you could have. See how it's behind? The ball should have been a little bit upfield. Instead, it hits Amari Cooper on the face mask, and it's a little bit behind him. It's catchable. It's routine. Amari Cooper fucked up. But it's the worst catchable throw you could make. He made it so much harder than it needed to be. There, really good throw. Again, good, not great. In time, accurate, tight window. See right here, Amari Cooper uses his body to shield. It's much easier than it looks because of how open Amari Cooper is, despite a cornerback being nearby. It's like boxing out, right? If you're boxing someone out on a rebound, it's a pretty easy rebound. Anyway, that was a solid throw, and this is a negative sack. I can tell you, so look pre-snap. You see two safeties high, you see cornerbacks lined up with varying degrees of depth, right? Over here it's pretty much press, and over here it's a regular cushion. That tells me, and I'm not an NFL quarterback, that tells me I've got man too high. As the play progresses, right here you can see what's going on. You can see that this nickelbacker and this linebacker are both tracking to the running back for the nickelbacker, and the linebacker's got the slot receiver. I think that's Njoku. You know it's supposed to be man. Now they pass these guys off, the linebacker and the nickelbacker, right? They switch. The linebacker takes the running back, the nickelbacker takes Njoku, but it's still man. Watson has to know that. Because he knows it's man before the snap, because I know it's man and I'm not paid to do this, you have to know 1st and 10, you're going to have a switch, which means the tight end and the running back are both going to be open. You take the one with the easier throwing lane and you hit him right now. The ball has to be out right now. You got a clean pocket. Hit Kareem Hunt right here and let your former All-Pro back do some work after the catch with plenty of space. Or if you're a little ballsier, you got a window in between these defenders. They're flat-footed. They can't turn and run. Gun that fucker into David Njoku and see if he can't get 25 yards after the catch. Instead, he's a pussy. He doesn't see it, or he is cowardly. Now, if you look at his head, he's looking at the right sideline the whole time. Watch his head. It rarely ever moves. He looks briefly at the linebacker to see what's going on, but after that, he is zoning in on, I think, Amari Cooper. And that's why this is a negative sack. You don't need to go to the All-22 to see who was open, because I can already tell you 3 dudes were open. I don't care what happens down here. He's staring at Amari Cooper, and he's got the tight end and the running back both going to be free on 1st down. Move the ball. You can't take a sack. You got a minute and a half left. You're at midfield. You need a touchdown. Move the ball. I don't care. Maybe this guy's on a streak for a touchdown. Doesn't matter. Maybe David Bell here finds his way open in a void. I don't care. You know it's man. You know you got your tight end and running back on a switch mesh. Hit him. Instead, he stares down his number 1 guy because Deshaun Watson still can't process, and it's not getting better. It's been a month in this offense after a full training camp and 3 other weeks of practicing with the team outside of training camp and the month he's played in the games. And he's not getting better as a processor. His accuracy is not getting better. This isn't rust. This is who he is. You can argue, I can't be proven right. But here on 3rd and 13, I'll give it to him. That's a really good throw. If you want to call that great, I won't give you too much shit. But I would call it solid. 3rd and 13, he hits the curl. That's what you want. This is a Hank concept, and it's not a coincidence that his best throws all come to Amari Cooper. He's not reading the defense, so if his number 1 guy is open, he looks better. If his number 1 guy isn't open, he looks a lot worse. Ball's relatively in time on a curl. Amari Cooper does a good job to hank it down. That's why it's called Hank. Good throw. Not great. Here again, David Bell. Watch Deshaun Watson's head. It doesn't move. Pretty open. This is where we start to get into prevent defenses, right? You can see you got press over here. Again, you got off zone here. This is probably going to be a safe man coverage, so too high. Man coverage from the corners, but they're playing off, just trying to make sure nobody gets deep on them. And that's exactly what you see. And it's exactly what happens. Their Saints are totally fine to let David Bell take that. It's a solid throw. You could argue it's routine. I would say it's solid. But the main objective was to make sure that the Browns have to burn a timeout and don't score a touchdown. And that's exactly what happened. So, 1st and 10 from the 15. This is a throwaway. I don't love it. We will go to the All-22 in a moment to see if it was the right play. I think it's a negative throwaway. I think you had options, but I understand that you want to preserve your timeouts because you don't have any. It looks to me like Watson saw Amari Cooper and said, it's going to you or it's going to the stands, and he threw the ball away. Second down, plenty of time. Watson rolls left. So close. And this is a really, really difficult throw to grade. I hope they give us the replay. They kind of do. Okay. So, rolling left, already tough. He gets 2+ moves regardless of how accurate this ball ends up being, right? Because he bails out of the pocket and evades a tackler, and then he throws it while rolling left. That's tough shit, dude. That's good quarterback play just to get this ball off. Now, it's late, right? That's why the receiver has stopped his feet. It's why he is not moving towards the sideline anymore. That said, it hits the receiver in the chest. It should have been caught. That said, there's a cornerback right here to shove him out of bounds. So, I'm going to call this great, but I really don't want to, because I think that even if the receiver had caught the ball, it's so late in the route that it wouldn't have been actually caught. It wouldn't have been inbounds when it was caught. Here, Watson tries to thread the needle and makes a good throw, but he doesn't protect his tight end, and he gets blown up. All 4 of these plays, we're going to have to go to replays for grading because they're tight, right? Now here, again, blurry. Sorry, can't do anything about it. Watson does a really good job of being in time and being aggressive. Ball is in the hands of Njoku. It's in his hands. Matthew puts the shoulder into the ball, and that's a good play, but that's a great throw. I will give Watson a great throw for that. 14 yards downfield on the goal line, threading a needle. 4th down here, this is terrible. It's a sack, and it's Watson's fault that it's a sack. Now, let's go to the All-22 for all 4 of those last few plays, because we're going to need to do some explaining. So this is the first play of that last set of downs. The routes are going to materialize like this. Note that the Saints are playing zone coverage. That's apparent from before the snap. Because of that, Amari Cooper basically is a non-factor, right? I know he's your wide receiver 1. I know he's really good. But he's basically just running a streak to the end zone, and you're going to have Tyrann Mathieu over the top and a cornerback plastered to him. It's not an option. Now, that means Watson should be looking to his left, where you've got the zone beater. Here you've got Njoku on a post, and you've got DPJ on kind of a follow-over route. The idea of a flood is that you're sending 2 guys to the same area so that one zone defender, namely this guy, is going to be responsible for the area that both of them are in when the ball's thrown. Now, right here, Watson should see, I've got Njoku on this post, and he's curling over. Not DPJ. Amari Cooper is going to be running the streak, so Tyrann Mathieu can't commit to banging Njoku in the face as soon as he gets the ball. I have to, right this moment, zing the ball into Njoku right about where my mouse pointer is. It would be a great throw, but that's what the play requires. And when push comes to shove and you need great quarterbacking, Deshaun Watson has consistently failed the Browns this year. Look at how open Njoku is. This is when Njoku should be receiving the ball in his hands. And again, Tyrann Mathieu can't get over, right? But Deshaun Watson's head hasn't moved. He is staring down Amari Cooper. And I guess it works because he pulls Tyrann Mathieu off of David Njoku. But even Watson doesn't really think it works because he just throws the ball out of bounds. Very next play. Again, game is on the line. You are out of timeouts. You need the touchdown. So Watson takes his dear sweet time. I understand why he doesn't want to throw these 2 checkdowns. I get it. If you throw the ball here, you need to get up to the line right away and run your 3rd down play because the clock is going to be ticking, and you're going to be kind of fucked. I also understand why he doesn't want to throw to Njoku. He's got upfield leverage, but there are 4 people in the area, so if you float the ball here and hope that Njoku can go up and make a play, it's going to be a contested catch, and with 4 Saints around, it could turn into a pick. That leaves you, basically, your options are David Bell, who is open, and if you gun this ball over the linebacker's head right here, it's a great throw, but it's a touchdown, and you tie the game, and if you're an elite quarterback, you make that throw. Instead, Watson doesn't like it. He is Scawood. He tries to make something happen out of structure. And this is what he's supposed to be best at. So here DPJ realizes, I got zone coverage. Alontae Taylor is looking at the quarterback who's running around and being distracting. I'll slip out to the back of the end zone and Watson will hit me. Right here, Watson has to throw the ball. Looks like he's cocking back. He threw the ball on time. He just didn't put enough velocity on it because you can see it floats. And this is where not having killer arm strength hurts Deshaun Watson. Because let's imagine this ball sticks to DPJ's hand and he catches it, just like all the Browns fans are mad that he didn't. And he should have caught this. He's in the air because the ball's high. And there's a defensive back with his hands on his back ready to push him out of bounds. There is a 0% chance that this ball actually gets caught. Right here, Deshaun Watson does everything right except have a strong enough arm to complete the play the way he wants to. See it again, all in one foul swoop. Watson doesn't have the arm. He floats that ball. If he guns it, it's an elite throw, a great throw, and it's a touchdown. But he doesn't because he can't. I understand that this is going to sound like nitpicking because I'm finding something wrong with each of these last 4 plays, and 2 of them, Watson does his job. But he doesn't do his job well enough because he's not quite good enough. And that's the issue here, right? That's the whole issue. He hits Njoku in the head. This has to be a catch. And yeah, the clock is running, but it's 1st and goal from the 2. You get up there and spike it, you run your 3 best plays, and you tie the game. There's really nowhere else to go. You got to put the ball on him hard. It's going to have to be a tough catch. In retrospect, it's a really great throw by Watson. It's the throw we asked him to make on 1st and 2nd down. Velocity, tight window, accurate, decent processing. Njoku fails him. I give him that one. Here, the final play of the game, and Watson lets his team down on this one. So we got 3 plays that are on Watson and 1 that's on Njoku. This play's a little tough because there is a zone defender hanging around in this hook, but if you have the arm talent that people think Deshaun Watson has, you can still gun that in there with a little anticipation. Additionally, you got plenty of time. You're bailing left, but nobody's rushing you. You got a wide receiver right here that's totally open. Gun it to him. Again, low trajectory, lots of velocity, hard to make, great throw, but that's what this game calls for. Instead, he tries to run a little bit too long. He doesn't have the awareness he should, and it turns into a sack that ends the game. So, let's line it up from before the play. You see off coverage. You can only assume, based on how the Saints have been playing in this set of downs, this is going to be zone, probably some form of Tampa 2. You see the defensive end already chipping the slot receiver, so you know it's going to be Tampa 2, rushing 3. Right here, you don't really have anything open, but it's a 3-man rush, so you got time and you need to understand that. You got the 2 over-the-top safeties, so you can't just bomb it up and hope that your receiver makes a play, which means that this receiver right here is going to have to do something rather than just running a fade. Here is the exact moment that Watson should know, I'm going to have Amari Cooper. You see that the cornerback is hovering around waiting. You see that the safety's not on him yet. That means this area of the field right here I'm circling with my mouse is going to be open. Use a little anticipation and gun it right over there. Here, again, you're getting separation from the corner. The safety's not closing fast enough. The ball should already have been out. It should be hitting Amari Cooper in the hands right around here. You've got it. Even still, if you gun this ball to the sideline, you can get it over this corner's head. You can get it into Amari Cooper's hands. You just need arm talent. It would be a great to elite throw, but it's very doable. Now here he bails out because he's looking left the whole time. So we need to go back and analyze what he was looking at on the left side of the field, because Amari Cooper can be open all day. If he ain't looking at it, it ain't an option. Here, I don't like this play very much because you got 3 receivers in the same area. It's kind of a flood, but it's very poorly designed. And I'll admit, I've never been a fan of Kevin Stefanski, so if you want to say that he fucked up on this play, fine. That said, it turns into a bit of a fake flood. You've got a little zig action at the goal line from this receiver right here. As he starts to wander off, Watson has to see this and say, I'm going to get fucking hit. It's going to fucking hurt. And I'm fucking cold. But I can get this ball here if I really fucking put my ass into it. Instead, he tries to run out and make things easy on himself, and that's how he eats a sack. Even if none of the receivers were conveniently open, you gotta hit that play. You gotta at least throw the ball. Because, sure, it could fall incomplete, it could get picked, but I wouldn't blame you for those so long as you tried. Watson took the opportunity out of his team's hands and ate a sack that cannot be reconciled. Without further ado, it's film time. So we finished watching all the tape, and here's what we got. We got the great throw to Njoku on third down on that last drive that was dropped. That really sucks. That could have changed the entire outcome of the game. It was a really good throw. It was in time. It had plenty of velocity. It was accurate. Good job on Watson. Really, that's the kind of thing that you want to see from him. Other than that, 5 solid throws, and that was about it, right? He had that one in the back of the end zone on second down to Donovan Peoples-Jones. He did a really good job of extending the play, some plus moves there. But the ball was a little late, and it didn't really have the velocity you need on it in order to complete that pass. Now, yes, it hit DPJ in the hands, but there was a cornerback right there waiting to push him out of bounds. Maybe 10, 15 years ago when there was the push-out rule, that would have been a really great throw, but in this case, it wasn't. And I know that it's asking a lot, but that's what you need from your quarterback to win these tight games in these crunch time situations. That's why some people don't necessarily believe in clutch. Like, maybe it's not that the player's performing better in crunch time. As someone who has played high-level competitive sports, I believe that there is something to be in clutch. However, either way, when it comes down to those big scenarios, those playoff games, those last-second drives, captain comeback type shit, you got to be really good to make it work. And right there, just Watson didn't have it. And that's not necessarily to say that he's terrible because he didn't make this awesome throw. It's just to say that he failed yet again. Aside from that throw to DPJ, he had some nice throws a little bit further downfield, but he missed a lot. He still had 3 pickables, right? Maybe the pick that he did end up actually throwing wasn't pickable, but it was really bad. He also had the pick that went through Roby's hands. Should have gone the other way. He had another pick that went off Roby's tits. You can't be putting the ball in harm's way this often when you're not producing big plays. Now, if you're Josh Allen, yeah, Josh Allen puts the ball in harm's way a ton, but he also is the king of the great and elite throw. The miracle bomb down the field on a frozen rope to split the safeties on a post route. Watson had opportunities to do that kind of thing today. He just didn't. Additionally, both of the sacks that Watson took, I blame him for. I broke down in depth why he should have at least given his players a chance on the 4th down play that ended the game, and frankly, I just don't think his vision or his confidence are where they need to be. I don't know which it is, and I don't know if either can be fixed, but it's not good right now. He had 4 throwaways, some positive, some negative. He had 2 positive runs. The touchdown run was good shit. And it wasn't that hard. He didn't make anybody miss. But you need somebody, well, you don't need a quarterback that can run it all. See Tom Brady for the last 25 years. But it's really helpful to have a quarterback who is at least mobile enough to take advantage of that gaping run lane and get the touchdown out of it. Watson navigated the pocket pretty damn well today, too. He made 13 positive pocket manipulations, but the problem is he's just not getting better. Yes, it was cold out, but it's not like he suffered from a bunch of bad drops, right? He had the drop by Amari Cooper that would have been a touchdown. But that was a pedestrian throw at best. Watson made that really hard on Amari, and it could have been a really easy catch. It could have been like me playing catch with my baby sister. Just loft that ball up there. Nobody's coming to hit me. Nobody's coming to hit you. Make it easy. Instead, Amari's got to slide. Amari's got to quickly change direction on a cold field. That's just not good quarterbacking. Watson wasn't necessarily as bad as he was last week in terms of accuracy or positive play rate, but he also wasn't as explosive. Overall, I believe he was worse because, yes, he was slightly more accurate, and yes, he had twice as many positive plays, but they put the ball in his hands, they put the game on his shoulders more often, and he rewarded them with failure after failure. He put the ball in harm's way a lot, and he didn't provide any big plays to make up for it. He also, on 4th and 2, instead of taking a check down to easily convert, he goes deep, and he fails miserably. It never had a chance. It was a terrible throw. Deshaun Watson isn't really getting better. His accuracy has been a lot better in weeks 14, 15, and 16 than it was in week 13. Yeah, against Houston, he was physically rusty, right? Like, those balls were just, sometimes balls sail on you when you, like, try to put too much touch on them. Sometimes balls will just bomb on you, right? And he was spiking everything into the dirt. He stopped that. He stopped that in week 14. As a physical passer, it's looked better. It's just his mind is not catching up at all. His passing's been better, but it hasn't been good, and he's not explosive. And you can say, like, it's a fluke, he needs time, it's just rust, and I can't really argue with you because that's all subjective, and, like, I gotta defer to you. But it is curious that all the issues that are plaguing him and causing him to play so poorly are the same issues that I said I saw in his 2020 tape when I watched it this summer. And I'm not some kind of Deshaun Watson hater. I don't have a favorite team. I don't have a favorite college team. I just try to get it right. I just want to know which quarterbacks are actually good so that when things change, I know how to bet. And my film study has told me Deshaun Watson was never really very good, except in 2020 when he was pretty decent. And he hasn't been any good in Cleveland. Now, maybe that changes. Maybe he's just terrible in the cold weather, and when it's warm out, he'll be better. But if that's the case, your franchise quarterback can't play in December and January. So what good is he? I don't think Cleveland's building a dome anytime soon, even though maybe they should. His arm talent isn't enough. We saw in that last drive, he just doesn't have the zip to get it there. And I'm curious what Browns fans are telling themselves right now, especially in light of how well Baker Mayfield's playing in Los Angeles. Have you started to realize that the Browns have made a terrible mistake? Hit me in the comments. Let me know. Maybe you disagree with one of the play grades I gave out. Let me know. Tell me. Maybe you have found a factor that I ignored. Let me know. What do you think? If you just think that it's rust, I guess there's not really much to say. You could just say it's bad right now, but it'll get better. Either way, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with me. I hope you like it, even if you don't like the news that maybe the quarterback's not what he was supposed to be. Till next time, hasta.